If you feel like you were always a little bit different than anybody else, like maybe your brain works at different layers, depths, or speed, or you process things in a different way. Maybe you're highly sensitive, an empath, an introvert, neurodivergent. It's just, if it's always felt like you're just different, built in a different way, and somehow meant to do things in a different way because the regular, standard way never really felt right. This video is for you. So maybe you are like me, you were born in a place where you never felt like you quite belonged. I was born and raised in Italy, but ever since, honestly, I can remember, I think I was 13, 14, watching the TV show Friends on TV and realizing I want to move. I want to move abroad. At first, I wanted to move to the United States. And that's actually how it went right after college. And well, it didn't go well, but that's a story for another time. I managed to spend there about 3 times until it didn't work out. And after a month, a break, I took a leap and I moved to the other side of the world. I moved to China, I moved to Shanghai. And even if the first 3 days, I was like, I will be happy if I manage to resist a month here. I will count it as a success. And after 3 days, I was like, this is my life now. I love it here. It's just, it unlocked something in me. It rather than unlocked, finally, something that I always felt started making sense. I felt alive around people that had different backgrounds, came from different cultures, where there was so much vibrancy and aliveness. I come from a very small town where pretty much everybody knows everybody. And that always felt so suffocating for me. I wanted to move and be in a place where I could just go outside and just be anonymous, and meet so many new people where there's movement that I always felt like that's where I'm meant to be because if it feeds my spirit, it feeds my creativity, it's where I feel the most me, the most myself. And this is just an example. So maybe you're like me and you always wanted to move abroad and you did. Maybe you never felt like you belong in your family, in your community, at home, in your own country. Maybe you're like, those people that they're like, since I was 3 years old, I knew I wanted to be a dancer or a painter or a doctor or a pianist. And I was like, I was never that person. For so long, I wished I was built that way. But I had to try so many different things. And funny enough, anything I tried, I was kind of good at it. So I was like, so which one is it? Which one is my thing? For me, it wasn't easy to nail. And sometimes, with all the different skills and variety of backgrounds, experiences, now that I'm 40 years old, I can appreciate that and I can see the value of that. And I've learned how to distill all of those different layers into something coherent that feels like me. But for so long, it felt overwhelming to have so many passions, to have so many talents. Not to brag, but it's just if you cultivate a lot of interest and you dabble in a lot of things, you will develop skills and talents in different things. And it felt like so much. And it felt like it was a disadvantage. Like, this is going to make things so much harder. And I think for a little while it might, but after you start to really find the threads, you start to really see the patterns. And the message of this video, if you're like, yeah, this sounds like me. Like I always knew I wasn't built for the conventional path, a linear path. Like linear things from A to B never worked for you. And you always found your own way of doing it. And finding your own way, you're a pioneer, you're a visionary. It's not easy. It's not easy because probably like there was no one before you who kind of paved the road and made it a little bit easier for you. You're carving out your own path as you go. And that takes a lot of trust. That takes a lot of surrender. And that takes also a lot of owning who you are and trusting who you are and confidence in who you are, confidence in you can do it. And building confidence, I think it's just a matter of stacking proof, stacking evidence that every time you do things your own way, one, you feel alive, you feel authentic, you feel happier, you feel more satisfied, you have more creativity, you feel like, oh, this is what I'm meant to create and to contribute. And I think those are the only metrics worth tracking. And you also see, well, it kind of works. And also on the other side, collecting proof that anytime you try to follow the proven path, the right way, the formula from somebody else, the blueprint that worked for everyone, but it wasn't built for you, you're just shrinking and diluting and taking away at all the power, all the gifts, the talents that you have. You're not supporting all of you in a sustainable, aligned way, but it makes the process just, it doesn't work out. That's what I'm trying to say. When you try to squeeze yourself into somebody else's formula, it just doesn't work out. And as you build that proof and collect that proof, you build confidence, like I can do this my own way. So the message is, I think for people like you and I, for people like us, it's important that we give ourselves permission to fail. I think it's important for us to make mistakes because that's the only way that we're going to learn. That's the only way that we're going to understand and gather feedback on what actually works for us. Because when you are building, literally building something new, you cannot expect that. I mean, sometimes it might happen just one go, one try, and it works out. Whether it's at work, whether it's, finding your own country, your own home, your own place where you feel like home, finding your people, because when you build different, even building your own community, your own soul family, circle of friends, it might feel more challenging. It might take more time. But trusting that you you are built in a way, and for you to follow the way you are built, it's a discovery process and it's trial and error. And again, trusting the process and trusting yourself, because the moment you lean into your unique design, how your unique ways of doing, your unique way, your unique timing, your unique way of processing things, your unique needs and wants, your unique ways of expressing, of creating, everything will start making sense. If you spend the first half of your life trying to make yourself understandable to others and packaging yourself to others, I promise it will come the point where that changes because you will start to I mean, I think there's this fire, there's this light, there's something inside that starts screaming at you, like, no, this is not it. And until you start paying attention and trusting that there is your way, and you don't have to do it like everyone else is doing it, like a whole new world really opens up for you. And I wanted to give you an example because this, to most people, this might sound crazy, but that's actually how I felt. So I wanted to start, and I mentioned this in my first video, starting a YouTube channel at 40. I've been wanting to start a YouTube channel for a couple years. I think more because I don't count COVID years, so it might have been four or five. But I was just procrastinating because I thought I need the gear, I need to learn the like a bunch of different softwares. Everything needs to be perfect and just, procrastinate. And in the last couple of months, I was after having tried a podcast and I wasn't really, at first, by scheduling, I was staying consistent, but then it wasn't, kind of fell off track. And yeah, it didn't fully click. So I was like, I think it's time that I do, I give myself permission and I go all in and try this YouTube thing and see what's about and how it feels. Because making videos, even when I was doing it on TikTok and Instagram, it always gave me energy. So I was curious and getting to the point as I started, but in the last 2 months, as I started playing with the idea and I started doing research, how to start a YouTube channel, what is the ideal consistency, how to grow a YouTube channel and community and like the basics, what's the path? Again, trying to see what worked for others. And most, like the majority of advice was put out at least one video per week. And if that's too much, as a projector in human design, I'm very aware my energy is limited and I don't want to burn out again. So I was like, all right, maybe I can start with 2 videos per month. And I scheduled them in advance. And perhaps I start the channel once I have 3 months already scheduled and set. That was my initial mindset. Then, as I started researching more, I was like, all right, maybe I can commit to 1 video a week. And still, it felt like it was this huge commitment like, oh my God, 1 video per week. I was picturing like it would take 3, 4 days to edit it. It's just, it will, yeah, I need the full week. And then I come across this woman, incredible woman, and I already like shout out to Glow. I already talked about how I came across her profile in my first video, and I will share her link below. And she was on a daily YouTube video journey, like daily, daily. Like she first committed to 100 days every day. And then she upped the ante and went for 1,000. Now she's aiming at 1,000 daily YouTube videos. And somehow, guys, to my brain, that made sense. That felt like, yeah, this I can do this. And explain that to me. Like for most people would be like, what? Like you couldn't, if one weekly video felt too much, how come you're not willing to finally start the YouTube channel and commit to 1 video a day? How is that even logical? How does it make sense? And here we go again. What makes sense for the public? What makes sense for most people? Doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense to you. And guess what? I started doing the daily video journey. I'm on this daily video journey, and it's no problem staying consistent. Somehow, staying consistent every day to me, feels easier and less overwhelming than committing to a more spacious pace. It's like somehow this way I have no choice. I have there's no other option. Whereas if I have more room in between, I'm like, I might mess it up. So, how do you explain that? How do you explain that? You don't need to, as long as it makes sense for you. So, this was just an example to remind you that if it makes sense to you, if it makes you feel alive, if it lights you up, if that's how things work for you, if you have found your rhythm, your people, your community, your place, your way of contributing with your work and creating that meaningful, bigger life that you want, trust it, go with it. That's why you're here. All right? That is why you're here. And the more of us, the more people actually step into their unique way of being, because we're all different, the more we contribute to the richness in this world. Because every one of us can contribute in a like one in a billion different way. And it's important that you claim your own ways of being, your own ways of doing. And don't conform to what anyone else is doing. Follow your path. Follow your path. Follow your calling. Follow what makes sense for you. All right. That's all for me today. And I will see you in the next video. And just a reminder, if you don't know, I'm Marina, and I'm here to remind you that you're not too late. You're not behind. You're on divine, perfect time.